Hey guys, welcome to another online math class. This video will be about summary stats, and by the end of this lesson we should be able to find the 5-figure summary, be able to find the IQR, and also be able to determine if there are any outliers. So just pause the video and take a couple of minutes to write these down. Alright, so starting off with the 5-figure summary, let's go through what that is. So there's going to be 5 figures as the name suggests. So the first value is the minimum value, so the smallest data point there. Next is the lower quartile, also called Q1, and this is just the median of the lower half of the data. Next is Q2 or the median. Next is Q3 or the upper quartile, and this is median of the upper half of the data. And the last one is the maximum value, so the biggest data point there. Just pause the video and take a couple of minutes to write these down. Alright, so let's have a go at finding these points now. So looking at this set of data here, it says find the 5-figure summary for the values below. So straight away, the max and min, that's pretty simple. So the minimum value is 2 there. I'll start with question A, and the maximum value is 20. So I've got that already. Next, to find Q1 and Q3, I need to find the median. So let's do that first there. So to find the median, I'm going to count them all up. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points there. So using n plus 1 over 2, that becomes 10 plus 1 over 2, which is 11 over 2, which is 5.5. So my median is going to be between the 5th and the 6th data. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's going to be in between those two. And I know that the average of 6 and 8 will be 7. So that means my median will be 7 there. I'm just going to draw a line there to show where the median is. Once I've got that, to find Q1 or the lower quartile, I need to find the median of these 5 data points. So I know straight away I can just see that that's going to be my middle. There's 2 on that side and 2 on that side. So Q1 is going to be 4 here. And Q3, once again, there's 5 points here. That's the middle. So Q3 is going to be 13. Let's have a go at doing it for question B now. So the minimum straight away, 1.6, and the maximum is 2.9. Just note that if it's not in order from lowest to highest or ascending order, you need to do that yourself. So let's find the median. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 data points there. So let's do n plus 1 over 2. That becomes 9 plus 1 over 2. 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So it's going to be my 5th data point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. My median is going to be 2.1. Now I've got that. Let's find Q1. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 points here. So it's going to be in between the 2nd and the 3rd. So I need to find the average or the mean of 1.7 and 1.9. And that will be 1.8. If you put that in your calculator, you could do 1.7 plus 1.9 divided by 2. Now these two, I've got 2.4 and 2.7, so I need to do 2.4 plus 2.7 divided by 2. And if you put that in your calculator just like that, that will give you a value of 2.55. Alright, now it's your turn to have a go. Just pause the video here, have a go finding the 5-figure summary for these values, and just unpause it when you're ready to go through it with me. Alright, so I'm just going to fill out the minimum and max for both of them straight away. That's 3, that'll be 12, this one will be 3.8, and that one will be 4.7. Now let's find the median. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to do 8 plus 1 divided by 2, which is 9 over 2. So it's going to be between the 4th and the 5th, so because it's a 4.5. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be in between these two. Average of 6 and 7 will be 6.5, so that's my median there. Now finding Q1, I've got 3 values, so I know that's going to be my median for the lower half of the values. And over here, it's going to be 10. Give yourself a tick for each one you got correct there. And the next set of data, the median, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 plus 1 over 2. It's 8 over 2, which is 4. So it's going to be our 4th data point. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 4.2. And Q1 is going to be right there because there's 3. And Q3 is going to be right there. So that's 3.9. And that is 4.5. Alright, next thing we need to know is the measures of spread. So let's have a look at these. Our first one is the range. You might be a bit more familiar with this one. That's just the max minus the minimum. So for these, you just do 12 minus 3. For that, you just do 4.7 minus 3.8. Our next one, which might be new to you guys, is the IQR or the interquartile range. And that's found by doing Q3 minus Q1. So in order to get any of these values, you need to do the 5-figure summary first. Alright, so looking at the data from before over here, let's have a go at finding that out. So I determined the IQR for the values below. That's the first example I went through, so let's go to here. It would just be 13 minus 4. And for this one, it would just be 2.55 minus 1.8. So let's go through what they are. So the first one, 13 minus 4, that gives me a value of 9. So your IQR for this will be 9. And this one, 2.55 minus 1.8, just chuck that in your calculator and you should get a value of 0.75. And just write that in there. And you guys can try the next one. So we found the 5-figure summary for that before. Use that information to solve that. And just unpause the video when you're ready to go through that with me. So I got a value of 5 for the first one and 0.6 for the next one. Just give yourself a tick if you got those correct. Alright, now moving on to something called outliers. So outliers, the definition is that they are data elements that are outside the general area of the rest of the data, and these are found by using upper and lower fence calculations. So the formulas for that is the lower fence is found by doing Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR, and upper fence is found by doing Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. Just note that we do the multiplication first, just remembering BODMAS. Don't do Q1 minus 1.5 first, because that will give you an incorrect answer. So what this does is if we got a set of data, let's say 40, 41, 42, 43, it gives you like a number somewhere out here. Let's just make one up, like 28. That, let's say that's the lower fence, and upper fence might be something like, let's say 57. So these are just random values, but let's say that's what they are. That's the upper fence, I'll say UF, and the lower fence, let's say LF. So it's pretty much just creating a boundary. So that's my lower fence there and upper fence. So any numbers outside of this boundary will be an outlier. So let's say something like 7, that is outside, so that is an outlier. If I had something like 29, that's not an outlier because that's in the boundary. Same with up here, if I had something like 59, that will be an outlier because it's outside the boundary. If I had 55, that would be inside, so that's not an outlier. All right, now moving on to this set of questions here. It says find the 5-number summary and then find this information there. So minimum and maximum, pretty simple. It's going to be 1 there and 18. That's min, that's max. Median, you'd have to put that in order from lowest to highest. Same with the upper and lower quartiles. So that's rearranged from smallest to largest. And to find the median, count the number of spots there are. It should be 13. So we'll do n plus 1, which is the 14, divided by 2, which is 7. So my median is going to be the 7th data point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. My median is 4. Now finding the upper and lower quartiles. So that's my median there. Let's just circle it. It's the median of the lower half. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of data. N plus 1 is 6 plus 1, which is 7, divided by 2, which would be 3.5. So it's going to be between the third and the fourth one. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's going to be in between those two. The average of 2 and 2 will just be 2. And to find the upper quartile, so I'll just label that as Q1. And let's try and find Q3. Q3 will be, once again, 3.5. So in between the third and the fourth from the upper half. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's going to be between 5 and 6. So that's going to be 5.5. Now I can find the IQR, so part 4. IQR will just be Q3 minus Q1, which is 5.5 minus 2. That gives me 3.5. And part 5 are any outliers by determining the lower and upper fence. Let's have a go at doing that. So lower fence, once again, I'll do it up here. LF will be Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. So Q1 is 2 minus 1.5 times IQR was 3.5. And let's just work that out there. So my lower fence, if you do that, 1.5 times 3.5 and then do 2 minus that, that gives you value of negative 3.25. And for the upper fence, same thing, but Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. Just make sure you got that formula down somewhere. Q3 was 5.5, so do plus 1.5 times 3.5 then. Just put that into your calculator and that gives you a value of 10.75. So straight away, I know there are no outliers that are smaller than the lower fence because there's no negative values there. And however, there is an outlier that is past the upper fence, so bigger than that. There's a value of 18. So I can say one outlier is 18. So 18 is an outlier. So once you've got the upper and lower fence, just check if there's any values bigger than the upper fence or if there's any values smaller than the lower fence. Alright, now it's your turn to have a go. Just pause the video here, have a go at these by yourself, and just unpause it when you're ready to go through it with me. Alright, so for the first one, minimum and maximum, I'll just write those down. So min and max. Minimum was 0 and the max is 36. Give yourself a tick if you got those correct. Part 2, the median. If you got 24, give yourself a tick. Part 3, Q1 of the lower quartile was 19. Q3 of the upper quartile was 26. Give yourself a tick if you got that correct. Part 4, IQR, just 23 minus 19, or Q3 minus Q1. And that will give you a value of 7, and give yourself a tick there. And part 5, are there any outliers using the lower and upper fence? This is a new part today, so I'll go through that. So lower fence will be 1.5, sorry, not 1.5, Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. Q1 was 19 and IQR was 7. Just chuck that straight into your calculator and that gives you a value of 8.5. And upper fence, I'll do that over here. That's Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. And Q3 was 26 and IQR was 7. So chuck that straight into your calculator and that gives you a value of 36.5. So are there any values bigger than the upper fence? Let's look there. Nope, our biggest value is 36, so that's just inside the boundary. Is there anything smaller than the lower fence? Lower fence is 8.5. I can see that there is a 0, so 0 is an outlier in this case. So write that in there. Give yourself a tick if you got that correct. Alright, so we're almost at the end. One last thing to go through. So we've learned about 2 different measures of center, the mean and the median. So which one do you use and when? So first one, the mean, we use that when we have no outliers and there is no skew. And the median, we use that when there are outliers present or if there's a skew present. So just check these criteria. If there are no outliers and no skew, we use the mean. That's when we do it. If there is an outlier, we use the median, even if there is no skew. And we also use the median if there is a skew and no outliers. And we also use it if both of them are present as well. So when using the mean, just make sure it doesn't have any outliers or skews there. We've also learned about measures of spread. There's 2 types of measures of spread. We have the range and we have the IQR. So in this case, we use the range when there is no outliers or no skew, and we use the IQR when there is an outlier present or if there is a skew present. So just make sure you got those down. This will be useful for your questions. Otherwise, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all back online.